Hello. Okay, today we are live with Python and day 8 of Python, and we're going to cover inheritance and polymorphism. Let's first, because we're learning from Copilot, that's our teacher, so it shouldn't be that difficult to learn. So let's start. Class is a person, and we're defining initialize self and name. These are two features. Self.name is equal to name. Okay. Then we define introduce self, which is self here and self here. Print hi, I am self.name, and that gets encapsulated in or initialized in name. Self.name. So if we are initializing two variables, self and name becomes an object of this, a part of the characteristic of self. Now class employee person. Now, employee is a subset of person, inherits from person. Define since I'm also in the learning phase, we are learning from Copilot, so you and I are on the same level. Yeah. So if you're joining us to cover Python, this is a good way to actually learn together. Yeah. So employee is inheriting from person. We define an initialize self. Oh, sorry. Initialize self name and role. Now we are adding a role here. And a super dot initialize is name, and it calls the parent constructor. I'm assuming it should be this one, self.role. Now self here again has a superlative control over the other part. Now self is self.role is role. Okay, define introduce self. Hi, I am self.name and I work as a self.role. Okay, so that is one thing. So we add this code to our Visual Studio. Okay, and let's go back to our lesson. Polymorphism means different classes can share the same method name but behave differently. Same method, different classes. Same method, different classes. Okay. So it's like that Bob and Jill are friends. They have the same pen, same ink pen, but one writes with the right hand, the other one writes with the left hand. That's the same method but different classes. The pen is the method. Okay, fine. Class manager employee. Now where is employee coming in from? Employee is not here. Define introduce self. So this is basically the method being used by a different class. Manager self.name oversees the team. Okay, and class developer employee. Now developer, okay, introduce self. We have introduced self here, which is a class. This is also class, so class and class. So it becomes a method that is being used by different classes. Introduce self, print developer self.name. Self.name is coming from self.name is coming from here and gets used over here. Introduce self, and okay, so we have one concurrent viewer right now. So if you want some questions, so we are trying to understand. Okay, self.name is coming from here, from initialize, introduce self becomes self.role and self.name. Okay, so introduce self, it becomes self.name and writes code. Okay, we also add this class copy this and add to our visual code. Okay, we go back and okay, I was actually looking at, so we are actually live with coding and learning polymorphism in Python, or we are trying to, which is again a good thing because we are trying to add it to our skill. Yeah, but anyways, oh, it's buffering, so it's okay. Create employee system.py. Okay, we create one system.employee.py, new text file, rename. Where is rename? Okay, and rename is, I don't know how to rename this. Reopen editor with active default search editor. I want to, I just can't. Okay, fine. I would just okay, now since we are into, what I'll do is class person, employee, manager employee, and this is going into Visual Code. Okay, class person untitled. So if I have to save this, if I have to save it, okay, yeah, okay, now it's looking more sane to me. Look, I'm also learning, so I don't really feel embarrassed for that. Employee system. So what is this code? Let's just get down on that. Class person, initialize self name, introduction self. So we're having some buffering issue over here, but nonetheless we'll just go on. Self, hi, I'm self.name. Okay, fixed from here, initialized. Class employee person, self name, initializing is self name, role, salary. Super initialize name, self.role, self.salary, salary. Okay, define introduce self, self.name is coming from here, works as self.role, earning self.salary. Class manager employee, initialize salary team none. So because the manager doesn't need a team, name manager salary self.team, team with team else. I don't know what this means really. Define add employee self-employee self.employee dot append employee. Show team self. Why self? Okay, self is basically a class and this is the subclass. Print self.names team. For employee in self.team, for employee self.team, self.team. Okay, print employee name, employee role. Okay, so let's try to run this. It has a problem. I don't know why it should have a problem. Why is it having a problem? Okay. No more problems. Expecting intent block line 17 column 5. Line 17, account 1 is not defined. Account 1? What is account 1? team none. Where is account 1? 18, 19, 20, column 7. 18, 19, 20, 17, 18, 19. So what is the problem here? Self-team employee else. Import matches, add, ignore to suppress warning. Add, pyrite, ignore, report, and define suppress warning. Fix. Okay. Okay. Print, deposit, insufficient funds. Fix. So it's fixing on its own. This is something I think is a feature of no problems have been detected. Okay, so how did it actually generate code? Okay. What output? Yeah, should work, right? Or is it not working? It should work, yeah. So, yeah. Demo usage, dev1, Python, output, captain works as a manager earning 120,000. Okay, captain's team star, lead designer. Okay. Okay, demo uses something different. Okay, output this with these side numbers. Okay, now basically that was it. I mean, I'm also struggling with this thing. I know this sounds a little bit childish and naive, but we're trying to hold together our Python knowledge that we have earned so far. I mean, this is how you actually build yourself and build in the public. So who's here with us, they can actually chat with us and understand how we're trying to get our heads wrapped around this thing, this Python thing. Yeah. So how far have you understood? How far we have understood this? And I'm trying to add this one. I know this sounds a little bit boring here, but that's how we'll try to understand and decipher it. Dev is not defined. Let's ask to fix it. Fix the attached problem, and it's going to fix it on its own. So how is that going to fix it? Dev employee is equal to Sarah developer. Dev1. Okay. Fair enough. Good. I like it. So no problem, but it's not still working. Okay, it's working. Yeah, captain's team star developer designer. Okay, dev2. Okay, now there were no problems and the output was good. Yeah. captain's team. So how does it actually land to this thing called captain's team? Let's decipher it. Dev 1 employee, SAR developer, 80,000, lead designer. So this is basically came from employee class, employee person, self-name, role, salary. Role, salary. Self-name, name, role, salary. So where is self? Self is becoming an object, yeah? Self.role. Okay, got it. And manager is manager, captain, 120,000. And manager itself, self-name, salary, team, none. Name, manager, salary. Okay. And manager, salary. So self.team, self.team. Self.team gets this. Okay, method super initialized. Team if team else. Add employee, self.team append, and self.name. Print self.names team for employee and self.team employee name, employee role. So for is basically a loop. Manager is captain, add employee, dev2, dev3, introduce, show team. Dot introduce, where is introduce and dot coming from? That's my level of Python, sorry guys, but that's how I've actually learned to decipher a little bit of Python. Okay, so that was it for today's very short live stream, which is 17 minutes with so many mistakes I publicly confess that I made in understanding. But yeah, as we go through this, we'll develop some kind of, because what we're trying to do is we'll build products. I don't know how good those will be, but that will add to our learning, right? So if you have any questions, I'm here, I'm around for another 1 minute or two, and then we could actually sit down and review our program. Yeah, so one concurrent viewer, we have one viewer here. So do you like this or not? And I'll be off if I don't get a response in another 10 seconds. Yeah, thank you very much. It was great sitting with you guys today, and I love having you here, and we'll be meeting again for the 9th day. Although our understanding for Python is still very, very basic and fundamental and very old. It's rubric. It's very medieval when it comes to understanding Python, although I've actually worked in Python in other languages. I have a fair understanding of those languages, but Python is a little bit where I'm struggling. That's why we are covering this on a regular basis, and we'll meet again tomorrow. Have a great weekend ahead, and we'll meet again. Bye bye.